Really, I'm Mary Lou Bedford. I'm the CEO of the Central Palm Beach County Chamber of Commerce. And we are very excited to have you here on this virtual event, Resiliency, Lessons Learned from the Unexpected. On behalf of our board of directors and staff, we welcome you, and we could not do this event today without our partners. We want to thank our presenting partner, Tropical Shipping, and our corporate partners, Florida Public Utilities and Florida Power and Light. Before we hear from our panel today, we are going to be hearing from Tim Martin, who is the Vice President of Commercial and Trades for Tropical Shipping. He's going to share a few words with you. I'd like to share a little bit about Tim right now. Tim Martin began his career with Tropical Shipping in 1989 as a management trainee. This position allowed him to work in various areas of the company, learning the ins and outs of the company and the shipping logistics business. Tim has held many different positions in Tropical Shipping over the last 30 years. Following his promotion to Vice President of Commercial and Trades in 2015, his responsibilities were expanded to include governmental affairs, Canada sales and operations, US sales, marketing, pricing, and all port sales and operations. So as you can imagine, Tim is a very busy man. Tim believes that Tropical Shipping is the greatest shipping company in the world because of its commitment to its people and its customers. Tim looks forward to helping Tropical to continue achieving its shared values and maintaining its reputation for providing the most dependable shipping service in the Caribbean. Tropical Shipping has provided quality cargo transportation and logistics services for over 53 years to the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Tropical Shipping has been rated best places to work in the shipping industry for the past 10 years in a row. Tim serves as a trustee member of the Central Palm Beach County Chamber of Commerce, and he and his wife, Kim, are very loving grandparents to 3 wonderful grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to present Tim Martin.
Thank you very much, Mary Lou. As we start this journey of something that's so very important to all of us is the resiliency that we deal with in everyday business. And let me make sure everybody see the screen okay. Looks good here. Resilience through business continuity planning. It's paramount. Everything is about the people, your employees, but more than that, it starts with your family, your employees, your community. All 3 go hand in hand in this environment. Disasters. Is your business prepared to respond and recover quickly? Without a plan, it is absolutely impossible to respond to the needs of your employees, to the needs of your business, and to the needs of your customers. Because at the end of the day, all you do is understand the needs, and you're there to help and provide a solution. Hurricanes such as Dorian, Irma, Maria, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a disaster, substantial and economic loss, significant loss in many cases. Volcanoes, wildfires, tornadoes, cruise ships. We've seen, I think if it's 3 volcanoes erupt here in the last, call it 3 months. You must be prepared for all events. The change in this today is really the event that every day something different possibly could happen. So that is the importance of this entire process. You know, what is a business continuity plan? Planning today to recover tomorrow. But you must plan, you must be prepared, you must be able to respond, you must be able to recover, and also you must be able to mitigate the effects that it has on your business through your planning process. Approximately, and this is a really amazing stat, approximately 1 out of 4 businesses never reopening follow a local disaster. I can speak this firsthand in the Caribbean with St. Thomas and St. Croix from Irma and Maria, would actually affected 10 of our markets in the Caribbean, Matthew in Freeport, Dorian in Marsh Harbor. Preparation for the unthinkable, and it's kind of hard to put it in that context, but that's really what about. You have to plan thinking of what impacts could happen and what critical processes you have in place to take care of the business. Unplanned distributions cost a business loss of revenue, your reputation in the market if you're not planning to recover, loss of customers, shareholders' confidence, loss of productivity, employees. Everything is around the mental nurturing of this process. Vulnerabilities our business are confronts regularly, and those things are constant. Does your business continuity plan reflect your current business process? What is your process? What are you going to follow? Is it talk about communication? Does your human resources involved in the staff to understand what needs to go out? How does this affect your supply chain from your local suppliers? How do you make sure you have everything moving in the right direction? What is your readiness? What is your plan prior to the storm, during the storm, after the storm? And your employees, most importantly, need to understand their role. And does your plan provide for your employees? Without your employees, you are lost. So the key driver after any critical event, you must find your staff. Where are they, and are they okay? Then what do they need? Is there something they need to happen? We can plan up front, but we don't know the effects of the storm. Is it they need some type of backup generator? Do they need water? Do they need food? Because you're thinking it's going to be a short one-day storm, and the storm ends up being so devastated that they have no impact on food and be able to get initial supplies that they already have. Because everybody's kind of prepared for 3 days strong. But after that, that's what we have to come play and make sure we help our team. The basic plan must be workable, easy to maintain, and regulatory requirements. Workable meaning everybody understands their role, write it down, have a written plan. Is it easy to maintain? It must be flexible and easy during a crisis. It can't be hard. What are the steps? What are the ABCs of the process? And very important, you must know your regulatory requirements in each area of location. So you need to work with your local government, your local town, your local county. What are the requirements? What do they need to do? And what are the next steps? For us here in South Florida, we have re-entry letters for Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County that are on file that we carry with us after a catastrophic event, that we're able to get to work and be able to validate where we are at in a disaster process and what we need to do to get ourselves up and running again with all the information required. St. Croix, Hurricane Hugo, 1989. Some after effects remain. They don't go away. I can tell you after Hurricane Irma and Maria, we're talking over 4 years, there's still probably 70% of the governmental buildings need to be repaired or replaced, and they're still going through that process. Same thing with Hurricane Matthew, went through Freeport, Bahamas. They are still repairing, and that's probably 3 years ago. And if you think just 2 years ago, when you had Dorian come through Marsh Harbor, they're still repairing homes, houses. We have employees that live there that are living actually in a mobile home trailer that was brought in for them a place to live so they can get their home repaired and rebuilt and be able to go back to their normal living. And that is 2 years from happening. There's also major delays in getting insurance from the insurance carriers and getting paid to get your repairs done. I love this saying, charity begins at home, family planning. You got to make sure you and your team have a plan. And it's really amazing when you look at it. You take all your important papers. You can take any cash, your passports, your documents, your credit cards, jewelry, anything of value. And it really scaringly fits in a small box that you put in the back of your car. And there's the deed to your house and all your insurance papers. And you look at that and say, that's my whole being is in that box. And it really changes your thought process because you must have that information with you at all times. And it should be in some type of secure box because those are vital when you call into the insurance company, having your account information to go in and start the process. Make sure you have plenty of food, fuel, cash to get you through this process. Establish a family communication plan is paramount. So what we have found after the storm, a lot of cell sites come down, but we use a app called WhatsApp, and we were able to communicate pretty seamlessly after all these storms I mentioned with the people in the islands back to the US, customers being able to talk to their suppliers to get goods coming in to help replenish the cycle of food, water, et cetera, it needs to be on the island. First responders is critical. We take this so very seriously. What you see in front of us is a disaster management container. Inside that container is computers, hardware. We put a VSAT satellite system on top of it, and we can communicate anywhere basically in the world. We have full internet access, computer access. So when customers come to get their goods and cleared to get their supplies, they can go into that first door on the right, which is our customer area. They come in, they present their papers, and we're able to get them moving on their way. But this is the type of thought process that you have to have in your business continuity plan, because for example, in Irma and Maria, in St. Croix, it completely destroyed our office where our staff worked. So we had 3 of those containers down there for our team to work in. So they had one for operation, one for customer service for our customers, another one for a group of customer service people, just to be able to communicate through the system and be able to make sure they can do everything possible. You know, a few quotes, Jeff Pfizer, who is our CEO and president, you know, we're committing to partnering with our customers and communities to build resilient recovery process in advance of any disaster. We hold what is called business continuity plan workshops throughout the Caribbean. We've also done some here in the US to help governments, you got the public and the private sector, understand the importance of having a business continuity plan and making sure your business is in place and up and running. And when a disaster happens, our first concern is for well-being and safety of our employees and our customers. Everything is about your employees and making sure they're safe, their family is safe, they have everything they need. So when they leave their home with no electricity, their wife and their children or their husband and their children are comfortable being able to go to work and feel like everything can do and can happen. So you must take care of your people. You must prepare them for everything that is needed to take care of the needs of their family and their business. And so that's it from Tropical Shipping, from our business continuity planning. And we'll talk later if you have any questions.
Great, Tim. Thank you so much. Such valuable information that we all need to make sure that we are prepared for. And we know you have the experience and all the wonderful things Tropical Shipping has done in recovery. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We will have an opportunity to hear from Tim as part of the panel. And so it is my opportunity and honor now to introduce our moderator for today, and that is Lynn Casella. Lynn is the Growth and Retention Planning Development Manager for Florida Public Utilities. She is currently our chairwoman of the Central Palm Beach County Chamber of Commerce. And she also serves as a board of director for the Central Florida Clean Cities Coalition, is a committee member for the Florida Natural Gas Association and the Palm Beach North Sustainability Committee. She's chairwoman-elect for the Florida Workforce Consortium. Ladies and gentlemen, Lynn Casella.
Thank you, Mary Lou, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for choosing to be here with us this morning, which is the second day of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, right? And so that means as first responders, similar to Tim here at FPU, preparation is certainly on all of our minds. And so we've got our emergency planning committee meetings going because we know that early preparation is the smartest way to help ensure our business continuity and to protect our employees and customers. It's a vital tool to help mitigate damage and provides all of us with some much needed peace of mind. And as Tim has already pointed out, a good preparation plan helps ensure the ability to resist an extreme event, whatever it may be, with minimal damage and functionality disruptions during the event, and then afterwards to be able to rapidly recover functionality similar to or sometimes even better than pre-event levels, right? Or to put it more simply, good preparation helps ensure resiliency. Another excellent tool for success is taking the time to review lessons learned from past incidents, which we do at FPU every year. And this is the purpose for us being here today. The Chamber has assembled several subject matter experts who are going to share their experiences and outcomes that are gained from various emergency management processes with us so that we can learn from the actions and outcomes. Our goal this morning is to provide you with some information to help your business be more resilient in any emergency situation. And so let's meet our panelists. Our first panelist is Mary Blakeney. Mary is the director of the Palm Beach County Public Safety Department's Division of Emergency Management. Before joining Palm Beach County in 2008, she was the Emergency Services Director for the American Red Cross Greater Palm Beach Area Chapter and was responsible for the local response to 4 major relief operations that resulted in the sheltering of over 40,000 people, provision of more than 1 million meals, and creation of over 10,000 client case files. In her role for Palm Beach County Division of Emergency Management, Mary serves as the director responsible for all administrative duties, including logistical, operational, and planning aspects of the EOC. She is a liaison with responders, civic leaders, county officials, municipal partners, and the public regarding the work of the division. Her professional affiliations include being an active member of the Florida Emergency Preparedness Association Board of Directors, past president of the executive board of that same association, and former chairperson for the Palm Beach County Disaster Recovery Coalition. Mary earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Organizational Management from Palm Beach Atlantic University and is a certified Florida professional emergency manager. Mary, thank you for taking the time this morning to be with us here today, and looking forward to our discussion. Our second panelist is Anil Chang. Anil is the business consultant at the Florida Small Business Development Center at Florida Atlantic University, specializing in international trade and business continuity, where he has been providing continuity assistance to businesses affected by hurricanes and other natural disasters for 9 years. Anil is a certified global business professional working with companies interested in expanding their markets via international trade. As a certified economic development finance professional, he works with clients on finance and financial analysis. Anil earned his Master's of Business Administration degree from Florida International University with emphasis on international trade and corporate finance. Anil, thank you for being here with us this morning. Tim Martin is our third panelist, and I know that Mary Lou has already introduced him. Tim, I just wanted to say that many years ago with Palm Beach County Leadership Group, I had the opportunity to come into your facility, and I was so impressed with not only your shipping operation, but the innovation that you brought even way back then to the industry, and the company's strong foundation of taking care of your employees, which you have already demonstrated to us. So thank you for being here with us this morning and for being our presenting sponsor. Our fourth panelist is Karen Swoops. Karen serves as the External Affairs Specialist with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Region 4. She is responsible for developing and maintaining relationships with intergovernmental and private sector partners and creating informational products designed to reach each of these stakeholder groups. Previously, Karen served as the Communications Manager at MSL Group, which is a global public relations agency. Prior to that, she spent over a decade with the State Farm Insurance Company, leading their public affairs team. Karen is a graduate of the University of Georgia in Charlottesville, Virginia, and is a native New Yorker who currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Karen, thank you as well for joining us this morning. Looking forward to our conversation. So now that we know a little bit about each of our panelists, we have prepared a few items for discussion, and I'd like to begin with a question that each panelist will have 2 minutes to comment on. And here's the question. what pros and cons have each of you seen in your industry or in your business in the last year, so all during our COVID time, as it relates to resiliency in particular, but overall, what are some of the great things you've seen and some of the negatives so we can learn from them over the past year? And we'll start with Karen. Karen, you need, there you go.
All right, thank you, Lynn. So one of the pros that we found, particularly with FEMA, was that we were able to pivot on a dime with COVID. We had to go from operations that were normally done in person to operating in a virtual environment and proving that it is something that we can do. We went through hurricane season and we had over 30 named storms, which Region 4, knock on wood, we kind of escaped most of those, but that also showed that we were able to operate, be there for our stakeholders, provide the information that they needed, and be able to support them throughout all of that. The cons were, of course, us not being able to engage in person like we normally would. For example, we hold our Southeast Private Public Partnership, which is usually in person every either spring or summer. And we did it last year as virtual. It was still very, very good. But we missed that touch and that brainstorming that we get. It's particularly when we're discussing lessons learned and how to be resilient. So those were the cons that we saw. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Mary?
Hi, thank you, Lynn. And I first want to say congratulations to you and Mary Lou for putting this together. It's so important that we get this information out every single year. And that's where I would say we're at right now when you talk about pros and cons. You know, we've spent the last year focusing on COVID exclusively. And I think that what really has come out of that, as far as a pro, I think that a lot of our partner agencies, primarily even here at the county, have had the ability to really look at their continuity plans, how they're going to work remotely, how they're going to work with their continuity of operations plan. You know, some people actually pulled that plan off the shelf and took a look at that and say, how are we going to continue business with minimal staffing, minimal resources? And it was really a great, we couldn't have planned a better exercise than that for our continuity of operations plans. So I think that was a real pro. And I would agree with Karen, as far as a con of this whole thing, the virtual environment is great. But we've discovered in emergency management, you can't do everything virtual. We're all about communication and collaboration. And a big part of that is your nonverbal communication, sitting in a room with somebody, having direct access to them. So we're excited about being able to eventually, you know, throw away those masks, get in a room together and all come together and work collectively.
Excellent, thank you, Mary. And you're right. I mean, we have had a plan in place, obviously, as a utility for many, many years, but we've never had to activate it for such a long period of time, right? We've had our hurricanes, we've had weather incidents, but this has been such an extensive amount of time. So thank you for sharing that. Tim, would you like to comment?
Yes, agree with Karen and Mary, exactly what they said, reference to the con of not having that, be able to, the touch and feel that you have sitting in a room and feeling the environment and the emotions. And also another major negative was the psychological impact that COVID had on all of us. And to the point of people like, hey, business is down so much, am I still going to have my job? What's this going to mean for me in my future? And we've seen that happen throughout the entire world during this process. But the positive of this for us and what we did is we had a weekly call where we got on with basically 75 management team. And we're dealing with 30 countries in the Caribbean, plus Canada, plus the US. And basically getting an update from each location. What happened? What's going on? How can we help? How can we make it better? Basically setting the tone each week for the employees and the management team feel like we're completely connected and we understand. And the best thing for us, we did not let an employee go. everybody got paid 40 hours a week as normal pay. We basically cut out overtime. And we were just so proud of that as a company. Yes, we lost money. Yes, our revenue went down, but we knew we were going to come out of this and that it was okay. And then we just worked through that process.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tim. And you're so right. Communication, especially in times of stress and emergency, is so important. So
Yep.
that's awesome that your company is able to do that. And Anil, comments?
Thank you, Lynn. Yes, I'd like to share much of those same remarks as the fellow panelists here. You know, COVID-19 has really impacted the human interaction within every business industry. And what we've found is we, as a principal provider of small business assistance, have had to pivot to the online interface, and such environments such as Zoom and other GoToMeetings, et cetera, Microsoft Teams. Those are great programs that have assisted us in providing the service and the level of service. One particular instance is during the activation of the Florida Small Business Emergency Bridge Loan, as we are the principal acceptance side for all loan applications. So if you're applying for the loan, you would have to go through an SBDC representative. This was very difficult in the beginning because of the fact that many companies did not have the applications on hand, and they were all printed paper applications. Quickly, we were able to pivot and facilitate the transfer of the documentation in a very safe manner, and that was critical. I think one of the pros is that we were able to get the message out to the business community, and we were able to accept over, I would say, 18,000 applications throughout the state of Florida. It worked well. Our business continuity plan performed as best as it could, and we were able to overcome the challenges.
That's excellent. Thank you, Anil, for sharing that. And similarly, in our company, we are spread out over 7 states and many different companies under the Chesapeake umbrella. We had never all come together before across the board, and utilizing a platform like Zoom, we were able to do that. So from, I think, our perspective, that was definitely, one of the positive things. Doesn't take the place of, all of us being in a room, but certainly we've managed the communication pretty well. Well, thank you all for that. And let's move forward. I'll just choose each of you with a item for discussion, and others, if we have time, we can go back and forth between. Mary, I have a question. What are some of the risks businesses may face as a result of a disaster impacting our community?
Well, here in Palm Beach County, we have a robust planning process through our local mitigation strategy, where we work very closely with our community partners and our 39 municipalities to develop a mitigation strategy. And within that process, we've identified really there's 12 main hazards that impact Palm Beach County, and severe weather being one of those. But really, based on any of those hazards, you could have risks within that. A hurricane, for example, everybody wants to focus on the wind, but really there's several risks within that, whether it be storm surge, whether it be tornadoes, whether it be flooding. So people need to realize that there's other risks within any disaster, and how that could impact the business community is through those general things: the prolonged power outages, water, sewer systems being interrupted, interruption of communication. I know Tim touched on that, but people need to be ready for that communication interruption. The interruption of our public services, police, fire, EMS, and then the blocked streets. Everybody's going to want to get back and look at their business right away. We do have a very strong reentry program. We have that information on our county website for how businesses, we even have a template letter on there that businesses can download and create for their employees that need to get back in a timely fashion. We vetted that program with all of our law enforcement partners. So individuals need to know how to get back in. So, it's important for you to look at your property right away, but it's also important to begin those mitigation efforts and protect it, but also being safe for those hazards that may exist in the community.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. And you're spot on there. So thanks for sharing that. Anil, who needs to be part of a business continuity planning team? Tim has mentioned that, and you specifically. Can you help us understand who in our company should be a part of that?
Well, that's a great question. And I think based on all discussions that I've had with business owners, clearly management needs to be committed in a very significant manner. When I say management, it is the entire management team. So finance needs to also play a role, as in some cases, operations may take the handle and grab the entire plan, put things together, but every single department needs to be involved. In addition to that, this plan needs to be reviewed by all employees, and there must be some tabletop exercises to the bare minimum. A what if scenario. Every day I meet with clients to discuss business continuity, and far too many times I've heard this is an operations situation. And I work with the business owners and I let them know this is not siloed to one department. And it's important that you understand that. Now, one key aspect that I would like to say is the SBDC, the Florida SBDC network, will work with all individuals, companies, and people who are looking to put together a plan to start a business. And within that plan, you will find that there is a business continuity and disaster preparedness section. This will allow you to gauge your recovery time should a disaster impact you. And it's important, our services are at no cost. Please take advantage of it. Go online, visit our website, and you will be able to meet with a consultant.
Excellent. That is very good information to have, Anil. Thank you. And you're so right that it does affect every department. We found that out during a hurricane a couple of years ago when some key individuals didn't have company credit cards that went up high enough for us to be able to put aside 50 hotel rooms for our first responders, right? So it takes every department to be behind that plan and knowledgeable of it. Thank you for that. Tim, why is Tropical Shipping so passionate about community resilience?
It's the fabric of whom we are, because we have 500 employees live in islands in the Caribbean, and they are a part of the community. They go to the grocery store, they go to church with the different locations. So it's paramount that we live this motto in our business. So we are there for them when these events happen, and they happen quite often. So it's paramount that we are there for them. They understand. It even gets down to, I can't emphasize the importance of reentry into these, when a catastrophic event happens, of being able to have all your information correct and being able to get to work. As I mentioned, the letters here in the US, it's the same in every island we serve. They're prepared, they know the government, they can get in, they can talk to them. So there's so many aspects of this. I could read off a 50 list sheet that we go through as part of this process. But it's our true beliefs, and you said it right, Anil. It starts at the top. It starts with your president, starts with your management team, finances involved, operations involved, sales is involved, human resources involved. Every aspect of your business has to be 100% engaged for this to be successful. It can never be saying it's just operation, it's their problem, ever.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, Tim, and you're so right. Absolutely. Karen, how has FEMA integrated the private sector into its whole of community engagement approach? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, that's a great question. And we understand that the private sector is usually 10 steps ahead of us So we rely on the private sector to be our eyes and ears and boots on the ground to give us the information on trends and what we need to plan for the future. So we work with our private sector partners, all the regions, not just Region 4, Region 2, also because Region 2 covers the US Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So we work closely with them, but all the regions' private sector staff engages with our private sector stakeholders and state emergency management staff in order to have discussions during steady state about future response planning, participation exercises, continuity of operations, preparedness events and workshops, mitigation initiatives, and emergency response and recovery training opportunities. Additionally, we work with our state emergency management partners and help them, or encourage and help them establish their own private-public sector partnerships and memberships. So that way they can identify and integrate and support non-governmental partners and resources and capabilities in their region so they can prepare for and respond and support after disasters. Additionally, since we focus on lifelines, and hopefully everyone here is familiar with our community lifelines, so we have revised the National Response Framework to incorporate business and industry, and that is ESF 14. So when we are activated, that's where I fall in, and I'm able to provide information to our private sector partners and also take that information back to my leadership. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And does Region 4 cover all of Palm Beach County?
Yeah, Region 4 covers 8 states. So North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So I actually had the pleasure of serving Palm Beach County during Hurricane Irma.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thanks for letting us know that. Okay, Mary, what is the most common issue that is overlooked during disasters, do you think?
Well, I could say this in 2 words: time and money. And when I say time, you know, everybody expects that the wind stops blowing and everything's going to be normal again. The roads are going to be clear, power will be restored, and that's just not the case. We need to really focus on managing the expectation of when things may be restored. It takes time to get out there and make sure it's a safe environment, that the roads are cleared safely, that power lines are not impeding the roadways. And we have professional partners and supporters in our community that do that work, but it does take time. Recently in a call with our state EOC, they said we've become such an Amazon type society where everything gets delivered to your house immediately. And that's just not the case in a disaster. So recovery does take time, especially if there's damage and it's a catastrophic disaster. I think Tim shared that remarkably about the communities. It takes years to recover from a catastrophic disaster. And then money. You know, we've seen this with not only businesses, but individuals in communities that have been impacted. You know, there's a lot of people that have no insurance or that underinsured. And I don't think it's any surprise to Karen when I say people think FEMA is going to come in and bail them out. That is not the case. There's not enough money. People need to really get insurance, make sure that they're not underinsured to recover. So, you know, I would say that the big things that the risks that people overlook is time and money.
And I would agree wholeheartedly with you there as well. Again, as a utility, we provide electric service in the Mariana, Florida area, and we had every single one of our customers out, you know, during our last hurricane up there, and it took months. And it is still, as Tim pointed out on a couple occasions, still not the way it was previous. So I appreciate your comments. Anil, why do you need a business continuity plan?
Thank you, Lynn. I'm going to stick with Mary's start there. I'm going to try to do it in 3 words, though. Florida hurricane season. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We will have a hurricane. It is guaranteed in the state of Florida, almost, hopefully not this year. But, you know, why wait until you are impacted? This plan is not meant to be developed after a situation arises. You need to be prepared. You need to have your staff prepared. And more importantly, you need to have your family prepared. It's important to think of the business, but we also like to think of the entire being, and that is a family unit. You are a family at work, and you're also a family at home. Your pets are included. All of these different aspects need to be covered. And I recommend a plan not only for your business, but a plan for your family. And I think there are a great deal of websites where you can utilize tools to develop the plan and customize it. You know, far too many customers are notified of a situation impeding hurricanes. We will be closed. What about your vendors? What about individuals who are placing orders outside of the state of Florida? What about your suppliers? You need to be prepared to notify them. We're going to be ramping up our orders because we're in the state of Florida and we want to have inventory should there be a delay, or we'd like to hold less inventory because there might be a hurricane coming. These are all questions you need to address. And it's not something that you can talk about and have it done on a second by second basis. You need to have a plan. And this is what the SBDC can assist you with.
Excellent. Thank you, Anil. It's similar, I think, in my marketing world to doing a marketing plan, right? The process of producing that plan puts you in a different place than you would be if you just kind of winged it. And so it's the process of producing the plan and then the action of completing the plan. So thank you for that. Tim, what's the biggest takeaway you've learned from your decades of managing through a number of different hurricanes and other weather and or emergency situations?
Most people don't know this, but the fifth largest, and I'm speaking from tropical and what we do from a business, people don't realize the fifth largest trading partner in the United States is the Caribbean Basin. Of that, $60 billion moves through the ports here in South Florida. And so the logistics supply chain is critical from the start to the finish, and how it's so important that we have to be prepared as a state, because all that revenue basically moves through the state through suppliers, wholesalers, retailers, et cetera, have to be prepared for that process. So most people don't think of it as that level, how big of impact financially it could be devastating for the state of Florida if we lost that revenue through other countries, if we're not to be able to get back up and respond. That's a really key takeaway from what lessons learned. And then what we do after a hurricane's done, takes about 6 months, then we sit down in a room and we let everybody talk about their experience and what happens. And then we take that information and put it down, and we put that into best practices. We learn something new every single time an event happens. We try to do so many things for preparation, having containers of water on hand. So an event happens, we can get it on the next ship to the next location. We just had this with a volcano down in St. Vincent. We had to ship containers of water and ice because they lost all their water system because of the volcanic ash that got into their water filtration system. So you couldn't use it. So those are things that you have to think about and prepare. But it's always your people first. Always think of your people. How do we take care of them? Get them up and running. Then you focus on your business. So at the end of the day, it's all about the people.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Tim. And like you, I look back over my almost 8 years at Florida Public Utilities. We started out with not even a database of people we could reach out to, whether it be for generators or right? And up until last year, when now we actually have signed agreements with all the other utilities in Florida. Should we need equipment, should we need personnel, we are all in it together. And so we know that it might be me that needs to help FPL this time, but FPL is certainly gonna, reciprocate at a time we need it. So that's excellent.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Karen, what should Florida businesses know about the value of participation in FEMA's National Business Emergency Operations Center? and if you would share how they might be able to sign up for that.
Sure, no problem. That is a great question. However, I want to go back to something that Neil said and Tim said about having prepared employees and that there are services out there or websites they can go to. One website in particular is ready.gov. And on ready.gov, you can put together your own plan for your pets, for your family, for your business. There are templates there you can download. You can also order materials. So I just wanted to drop that before I forgot to mention it. So the NBEOC is the National Business Emergency Operations Center that's located in our headquarters in DC. And the value of it is it's an information clearinghouse, if you will, where we share information with our private sector partners. Our private sector partners share information with FEMA. And to sign up, you can go to nbeoc.max.gov. And also you can connect with and network with businesses that have similar interests and also different interests, but share common ground when it comes to emergency management. So it is also our place when during a disaster, i.e. a major hurricane, we will have a dashboard set up and we're answering questions about be it weather pattern, who needs this, who has that, and then we'll also have daily calls or maybe weekly calls when it comes to the recovery, response and then the recovery efforts. So that's how you can connect with the NBEOC.
Excellent, thank you, Karen. Can you give me that address again, please? Again.
So N as in national, B as in business, E as in emergency, O as in operations, C as in center, at max.gov.
Got it. Thank you. Definitely be signing up for that, right? Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all for all of your comments and your sharing your experiences with us. We're coming to close to the end of our time together. And I have one more question that I'd like each of you to provide your thoughts on. Of course, as I mentioned, day 2 of our hurricane season right today. And of course, it's going to be 6 months long. And those of us who have lived here for any amount of time, as Anil said, it's not a matter of if, it's going to be when. I think they're predicting, NOAA's predicting between 8 and 10 hurricanes this season. And so here's a question that I have for each of you. What can businesses do now to help them prepare for whether it's a hurricane or some other emergency situation that may come up? What should we be doing right now to help us with that? And again, we'll begin with Mary.
Wonderful. Well, I think, we've talked about business continuity planning. People shouldn't be afraid if they don't have a written plan and don't even have an outline of a plan. It's not too late to start. So begin development of that business continuity plan. Look at those coverages on your insurance policies. How are you going to recover if you have physical damage to your infrastructure and your business? And how are you going to take care of the employees? Tim had mentioned that. That's so important. We need our employees back immediately after a disaster, or a lot of us need them during the disaster. So we want to make sure that our employees are ready to come back to work, are able to work. And that might involve being a little bit proactive and helping them make their personal preparedness plans with their families. A good employee is a prepared employee, and we don't need them at work trying to help us recover if they're trying to figure out how to close that hole in their own roof or how to get their family back in town that may have left for some reason. So now's the time to have those business continuity plans, as well as to ensure that all of your employees are ready for hurricane season. It's not too late. Get it going today. We're only on day 2. And like you said, we always say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon through hurricane season. So everything doesn't have to be done June 1st, even though as an emergency manager, I feel like every deadline is June 1st. But now's the time for everybody to be ready.
Excellent. That's excellent advice. Thank you so much, Mary. Tim, you want to comment on what folks could be doing now?
Well, first of all, these plans are no longer just a 6-month plan. They're 365 days a year. This is something we all have to live with. It has to be part of our plan. Each employee, we give them a plan. We give them a waterproof vinyl envelope, a folder. There's a plan inside where they can go home with their husband and wife and fill out the plan so they can personally be ready. So you do everything you can to help them put their own plan together by all the information that's needed. And that's so important. But you live this 365 days a year. It is no longer, it's just hurricane season. It's June, nothing. Here comes September. Here comes the hurricanes. Then October's done. There's so many other things that we're seeing unheard of in our history of climate and changes. So we must be prepared for everything. And the last comment I'd like to make is reference to FEMA and Karen. They are an amazing organization. We work with FEMA all the time in the Caribbean after events that take place. They're truly committed. They're professional. They have come such a long way of understanding this and their preparation. It was so impressive to hear Karen talk of what really happens with FEMA, and we need them, and they never get enough credit. And I think they're an amazing organization for our great country that we live in. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tim, and some great ideas for our employees as well. So thank you for sharing that. Karen, would you like to go next?
Sure. As everyone has covered, a prepared employee is a present employee. So I can't reinforce enough the importance of the planning, and the resource that is at everyone's fingertips, which is ready.gov. Something else I wanted to just remind our listeners of is how the FEMA process works, or the declaration process, if you will. So we have to be invited in by the state. We don't just appear because there's a disaster. There is a process, and the recovery has to be beyond the scope of the local and then the state's ability to manage and to fund. And then once that is assessed and gone through the process, and then it's signed off by the president and the White House, and then we can come in. So I know that I had to understand that because I spent all my years in private sector, and I look at myself now as an ambassador, as an educator, where I have to say even to neighbors, so that's not actually how that works. We don't just come in, we can't. It's the state first, and we have to be invited in. So with that, we also need people to be the help until help arrives. Because your local services may not be able to get to you for 3, 4, 5 days if it's a major event. And then, we're coming in to support the state, and that can take some time. So prepared employees, a present employee, and you are the help until help arrives. Thanks.
Awesome. That great information there, Karen. Thank you. And Anil.
I want to echo the same remarks. FEMA is a great organization. I think we've worked with you guys tremendously to have BRCs in our area. All of these different avenues, you have a number of resources available to you locally. You'll see right here, there's a map. If you're in Broward or Palm Beach County, reach out to me by going to our website, which is sbdc.fau.edu. And what you can do is fill out a request for consultation. We will sit with you and meet and discuss your business needs. Is it just a disaster recovery plan you're looking for? That we can work on. But there's other services that we provide. We at the SBDC are funded by the Small Business Administration as well as the state of Florida. So you'd find that we are able to work with you throughout the year. Does not need to have a disaster. Please work with us. We are here at no cost. This is one of the biggest messages I hear every time I make an introduction at one of these trade shows. Where were you guys? I've never heard of the SBDC. And this is why we do these presentations. We come out here, spread the word. The Florida Small Business Development Center is here. Take advantage of us. We're here to serve. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Anil. And thank you to each of you for sharing your experience. I mean, it is all about communication and let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's share and learn from best management practices so we all get through, whatever emergency situation it is in good shape. So greatly appreciate all of you. Thank you for being with us. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Maria Atuna, who is our Central Palm Beach County Chamber Executive Vice President. Maria?
Thank you, Lynn, and good morning, everyone. Again, thank you, everyone, for taking the time to be here with us. Thank you to our presenting partner, Tropical Shipping, as well as our corporate partners, Florida Power and Light and Florida Public Utilities. Next Thursday, we're going to hold our last virtual event, which is going to be our legislative recap with local legislators. So join us next Thursday, June 10th from 11 to 12 on Zoom. You can register today at cpbchamber.com. We're also very excited to announce our first in-person event, which will be our economic luncheon being held on August 26th. I really look forward to seeing everyone. I know I've missed being involved in live events, and I'm sure everyone is ready to get back. So we look forward to having everyone there. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for being with us today.